Welcome back, everybody. I am Edward Bilder. The PPP loans are back and they are better than ever. The application has been revised and it is ready for everybody out there to fill them out. And when I say everybody, I'm talking funding that is available to gig workers, sole proprietors, independent contractors, 1099s. You could be working a side hustle, filing a Schedule C, and this program is for you. You could be a Lyft driver, Uber driver, Instacart worker, managing Airbnbs, and this is the program for you. And I say it's the program for you because it's even better than the EIDL grants that everybody's talking about. Because this program offers you a true way out with free funding. If you follow a series of rules outlined by the CARES Act and outlined by the Relief Program, you could find yourself with up to $20,000, $20,833 to be exact, that is completely forgivable, wiped clean, and you do not have to pay this money back. Now, it is very important that you get in line for this particular program because the last day for applications is March 31st. And as we saw on the first round PPP, funding went rather quickly in the very first issuance of this program. Now, I've done a lot of research on this topic so that you don't have to. In fact, during the first draw of CARES Act days, when all of the PPP programs became available, many people flocked to my YouTube channel where I was teaching them how to do this through fintechs and get their funds within 3 business days rather quickly. But this video is going to break down the exact application process. So if you had any unanswered questions that you don't necessarily see behind the fintechs websites, or if you're walking into a local branch or local credit union, you will be prepared and you will have the proper documentation with you so that you can get this process done rather quickly. What we are about to do is we're going to walk through step by step of the application process, give you key pointers of things that you will need, key indicators of how you qualify, and teach you how to calculate your average monthly payroll expenses so you understand how much you're eligible for with this program. We're also going to talk about the covered expenses, the 60-40 rule, so that you know exactly what you could spend these funds on to make this a forgiven loan of free money. Now, what I suggest to you is that you watch this video from start to finish so that you get a good understanding of what the program is, especially if you're new to this program and it's the first time you're hearing about it. You may be thrown off by the fact that you hear that this is a loan, Paycheck Protection Program loan, but don't be discouraged. I know personally that thousands have been forgiven for this loan, and it turns into free money as long as you follow the 60-40 rule. And last, save this in your liked files so that you could watch it again when you're filling this application out. It's going to help you for a step-by-step guideline so that you're not going to miss a key step, understand how to calculate the average monthly payroll, and have the proper documentation with you on the first day when you approach the lender. All right, let's get into the details. Now, before we get into the application, I want to just cover 5 details for you. Very key, important details, okay? Because this program is so misunderstood. Detail number 1, there is no credit check. I know, that's a big thumbs up. No credit check on this program. Detail number 2, you do not need an LLC or any type of registered business. You could actually work a regular job and receive a paycheck and have a side hustle and use that tax information on your Schedule C to apply for this program. Taxes are not deducted from your check. If you applied for $20,000, you will receive $20,000 and there will be nothing removed from it. All of your expenses are a write-off. So if you follow the 60-40 rule and you take that 40% and spend it on eligible expenses that I'm going to detail later, you can write those off. And last, most important, this becomes free money because it's forgivable. So if you follow the rule and you spend it on the 60-40 rule, 60% on payroll and 40% on the other eligible expenses, this becomes free money and you do not have to pay it back. Now, there are a couple other details for eligibility. Sole proprietors, gig workers, independent contractors, small business owners. It is eligible to small businesses of 500 all the way down to the number 1. That is for many of the gig workers, 1099s, and sole proprietors out there. Now, you can earn more than $100,000. You can earn $150,000, or sky's the limit, really. but you can actually only take the loan max at $100,000. So if you made more, say $200,000, you would have to reduce that for this loan purpose to $100,000, and that would calculate to a loan amount of $20,833 of forgivable money. Pretty awesome, right? If you ask me, that is way better than the $10,000 EIDL grant. Okay, let's take a look at the form. Now, this form is titled Paycheck Protection Program, and so you know you have the right one. Borrower's application form revised January 8th, 2021. It's important that you have the most up-to-date form, or else you may have to fill this out twice, and you don't want to necessarily delay yourself by filling it out twice. So the control number in the upper right corner says 32450407. And again, this is broken out into 5 sections. Section 1 is identifying the business. So you're going to check a box, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Sole proprietors, partnerships, C Corps, S Corps, LLCs, independent contractors, self-employed individuals, and then a series of 501s, housing cooperatives, tribals, tribal businesses, and other organizations. Now, this will be identified as how you file your taxes, right? Or if you have employees, there'll be different ways of identifying this. DBA name, it may not be applicable, right? If you have a DBA name, that's doing business as name. The year of which the establishment was founded, pretty important. So put the date of which your operation opened. Your business legal name. Now, if you're a sole proprietor and you're just filing this onto your 1040 taxes or like 1040C, Schedule C, that's going to be your name. So your business legal name may be your name. In this case, it would be Edward Bilder. NAICS code. This might be a little bit challenging for you to find. So just type in, go out to Google, type in NAICS code, and type in the industry that you're in, and it'll bring you up a list, and it'll kind of bring you to the closest list, right? You could type in housing, room and boards, real estate. You can type in all kinds of stuff, and you'll see a series of NAICS codes. Pick the one that is closest to your business. Now it's asking if you are an applicant, including affiliates, if you meet a standard size, no more than 500 employees, or 300 employees if applicable. Some of the check boxes in the 501s through tribal businesses require you to have less employees. SBA industry size standards and SBA alternative size standards. You're self-explanatory. You're going to put in your business name, address, city, street, zip code, PO box, not allowed. And then you're going to go over to your business TIN, EIN, or SSN number. If you're a sole proprietor, this is just going to be your social security number. If you are a sole proprietor and maybe you possibly have an EIN and you file this onto your own taxes, you could include the EIN number, your business phone number or your phone number, primary contact, and an email address. Now the next section is a little bit more challenging than the first section because this is where you're actually going to need to understand what your average monthly payroll is so that you could calculate your average monthly payroll and multiply it by the 2.5 multiplier so that you could get an understanding of how much you qualify for. So just for an example, if you make $100,000 a year, take that number and divide it by 12. You will get the value $8,333. Put that value $8,333 where it says average monthly payroll. That is the maximum per employee that you can take, up to $100,000 of your annualized salary. Now you multiply that by 2.5 and it says plus EIDL. So you will take 2.5 and you will multiply by 8,333 and you will get $20,833 plus any EIDL that you received. Number of employees, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you are a sole proprietor, the number of employees you have is 1. Purpose of all the loan, select all that apply. Payroll cost, rent, mortgage, interest, utilities, covered operational expenses, covered property damage, covered supplier cost, covered worker protection expenditures. Now, let me explain this just for a moment. They're asking this information up front because these are eligible expenses. Now, we talked about this being a loan, but if you follow the 60%, 40% rule and you spend 60% of this onto your payroll and 40% divided up into any of these additional check boxes, your entire loan will become forgiven. You don't have to pay this back. It becomes free money in the form of a grant. Okay, so payroll cost, that is 60%. Rent, mortgage, interest, utilities is pretty self-explanatory. Covered operation expenditures, this means that if during pandemic time you had to go out and modify your facility to include any kind of plastic barriers or any type of modification to help prevent the spread of the virus, this would be considered operational expenditures. Covered property damage, and this was related to any looting or rioting that may have occurred during the time that your property or your business may have been damaged due to rioting or looting. Covered supplier cost, this is anything additional in excess of your standard covered supplier cost. Things like additional soaps, additional cleaning, additional hand sanitizers, items like bulk toilet paper, and then covered worker protection expenditures. These are things like providing masks for your employees, or if you have to buy any type of PPE, gloves, things that are non-standard to your business that you needed during pandemic time. Okay, we're going to roll into the third section here. And it's basically just identifying the list of all owners of 20% more of the equity of the applicant. Attach a separate sheet if necessary. So this is for anybody who owns any equity outside of 20%. If you are a 100% owner and you're a sole proprietor, you do not have to fill this section out. But if there are any individuals that are over this number, they want the owner's name, title, ownership percent, their social security, EIN or TIN numbers, and their address. Okay, so the next series of questions are a bit of a qualifying questions. So questions 1, 2, 5, 6, if answered yes, the loan will not be approved. And they're highly related to criminal activity, okay? There are some questions about like EIDLs and then ownership outside of it. So I'm going to summarize this, but I want you to actually read these pretty closely, okay? The first one is asking if there's been any debarment for any type of reason from any federal department or agency or is presently involved in any kind of bankruptcy. Second question is asking if you have any current delinquencies or defaulted within the last 7 years that caused loss to the government. Question number 3 is asking about common management, including, if not listed, businesses such with TINs, and describe the relationship on a separate sheet. That's related to that 20% question. Next question, number 4. Did the applicant receive an EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, between January 31st, 2020 and April 3rd, 2020? Number 5. Is the applicant or any individual 20% or more presently incarcerated or for a felony, presently subject to indictment, criminal information, arraignments? You get the picture, right? Question number 6 is asking if over the last 5 years you've been involved in any felonies for fraud, bribery, or embezzlement, or false statement in loan applications, etc. Question number 7. Is the United States the principal place of residence for all employees, including the applicant's payroll calculation above? Number 8. Is the applicant a franchise? Number 9. Is the franchise listed in the SBA's franchise directory? If yes, enter the SBA's franchise identifier code. Now the very next section on the next page talks about by signing below, you make the following representations, authorizations, and certifications. So you're going to have a series of certifying questions. Now you could read through this whole section. I summarized it for you just a bit ago. This basically talks about your full eligibility and how and what you must do to comply. But I'm going to go right to the authorizing questions by initialing the box next to it, okay? Now the first one that you would have to initial that is that you were in operation on February 15th, 2020. If you were not, you are not eligible. Second, current economic uncertainty makes this loan necessary. Third, the funds will be used to retain workers or on that 60-40 split that I expressed earlier, and that's on mortgage, rent, utilities, covered operations expenditures, etc. Right? Next question is a big one. I understand that loan forgiveness will be provided for the sum of documents, payroll costs, covered mortgages, basically the 60-40 rule. So if you do not follow the 60-40 rule and you cannot prove it, they may ask downstream, they may not ask today, but they may ask within the next 4 years if you can prove and demonstrate that you used the 60-40 rule if you apply for forgiveness. And that's the only way to make this free. So I highly recommend that you keep to the 60-40 rule so that this becomes free money. The next section And this has a change in it from the original application. But it basically says that you can only take one loan for this particular business for the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, if you have other businesses, of course you can apply with the other businesses, possibly EIN numbers, if they are completely separated from this business. Now, it has a disclaimer here. This does not include Paycheck Protection Program draw number 2, because you are eligible for draw number 2 once you complete draw number 1 after the 8 or 24-week covered period. Next question. The applicant has not and will not receive the Shuttered Venue Operations Grant. You can't have both. Next question. You'd have the president, the vice president, or any type of member of Congress. Okay? I'm surprised I had to put that in there. The next question is that you do not need to be registered on this Securities Exchange Act. And I think you're going to know the answer to that. The next question is that you're basically attesting that all the information is true, or you understand the penalties that may occur, like prison, fines, etc. Last, I acknowledge that the lender will confirm the eligible loan amount using required documents submitted. I understand the acknowledgement and agree that the lender can share tax information that I provide with the SBA's authorized representatives, including authorized representatives of the SBA's Office of Inspector General, for the purpose of compliance with the SBA loan. This is for a series of 4 years. And the last one is you just sign it on the bottom. Now let's talk about the basic items that you're going to need on the day you approach the lender. All right, because you're going to need to bring some additional documentation with you with the application. Now I'm going to keep it basic, and I'll actually build a whole video on all of the necessary tax forms that you need to bring. But to keep it basic for the length of this video, I'm just going to talk about you're going to need your driver's license or government ID like a passport. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, you're going to need IRS documentation. So you have to prove that average monthly payroll from 2019. Or if you were in business January and February of 2020, you are still eligible, you have to prove that information. So if you have employees, you could bring your yearly 940, or you could bring your quarterlies, 941s or 944s. If you are self-employed or a sole proprietor, you have to bring your Schedule C. And you also have to have profit. That is a plus number, not a minus number, in line 31. If you do not have profit, you would not qualify for the program, because line 31 is the number in which you divide by 12 and then multiply by 2.5. If you're a farmer filing a Schedule F, you could bring that. If you are a Schedule K, you have to show profit on line 14A. This is for partnerships and etc. You also have to prove, if you are a registered business, that you have proof of good standing. So basically go out to the Secretary of State for your state and just ask for proof of good standing. You'll be able to find that pretty easily. And last, you're going to need your banking information. Why are you going to need your banking information? You might need a voided check or a bank statement of some sort that basically has your router number on it and your account number on it, so that that bank can submit that information to the SBA so they could transfer the funds to you electronically into that bank. Pretty simple. I do hope that you found this video useful, and I do hope that you use it as a reference guide for when you're filling out your application. And I ask that you share this with a fellow business owner, sole proprietor, gig worker, maybe one of your friends or family members. I'm sure that if you're in the Uber Lyft scene, you're probably going to know other fellow Uber Lyft drivers, and I'm sure that they would definitely appreciate if you turn them on to up to $20,833. And check out some of my other videos where I actually post updates to PPP, EIDL, stimulus reporting, and also B&B. Yeah, I have a business outside of this. And look out for my future videos on my wealth strategies, real estate, and passive income ideas that start with just $100. Pretty great. Thanks, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.